everyone, and welcome back to another Gen Mouse 45 video, where today we're going to be reflecting on the book Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. So I finally finished reading about a week ago, finally had all my notes put together, and now I'm going to be giving a reflection. I'm not going to be doing my standard review, point A, point B, point C, because there is a lot to cover. And I feel like you really need to read it because it's such a good read, and there's also a movie coming out that I feel like most folks will be seeing, so I'm going to be giving my thoughts and reflection. But first, a little bit of background about said book. So as you can see, this is written by Suzanne Collins, the writer of The Hunger Games, so this is, again, a Hunger Games novel. The events in the book take place 64 years before Katniss Everdeen takes her place as tribute. This is long before the events in the first Hunger Game books. And if you see me looking off to the side, again, I have my notes there, because we don't have that much to cover, but it is pretty detailed. So, yes, we have Hunger Games. So this is when the 10th Hunger Games took place, so this is 10 years after the war between the capital and the districts. So we have a young Cornelius Snow. He's not quite president yet. He is then assigned a I don't know what that was. So Cornelius Snow is assigned a tribute from 12, Lucy Gray Bard. Together, they will need to keep her alive before she enters their arena and find ways for her survival, as Snow feels he has eyes on him to perform well despite the secret burdens he carries with him. So this is definitely going to be very snow-oriented type of novel. So I will also say upcoming spoilers ahead if you haven't read the book. There will be spoilers. I'm trying to post this a little bit before the movie comes out, but I'm not going to give too many main spoilers, if that makes sense. If you want to come back and watch this afterwards, totally fine with it. But yeah, I'm just going to be giving my thoughts about the book, and then, give my thoughts about what I hope shows up in the movie. So, I'm not going to do a book review, as it would take too long to go over the story. I will be giving my thoughts on particular points and moments that I enjoy throughout the book. And I do want to take a moment, to warn potential readers, future readers and listeners. This Hunger Games novel in particular was a little bit heavier, meaning that it's a bit more graphic. Both mentally and physically. Characters do go through quite a bit. Sorry about that. Getting used to my new desk. So, there's a little bit more graphic fight scenes, and then physical and mental as well. So I do want to say you have been warned. Spoilers and sensitive topics up ahead. Put it that way. Alrighty, so skipping the review, go read the book, go check it out. It's very well written. We're going to get into that, but, and also too, for movie goers, I'm definitely going to go see the movie, obviously, because I've seen all 3 Hunger Games throughout the movies, or throughout the years and stuff. I saw them all in theaters, I have all the DVDs, so that is my goal for the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. See it in theaters, get it on DVD, so, even though we don't have a DVD player, we'll fix that eventually. Here we go with the reflection, at least my reflection. So the primary focus of the book is, again, Cornelius Snow. So during the Hunger Games trilogy, whenever he's older and he is president and everything, I didn't like his character much. I liked the actor who played his character. He did a very, very job well done with the character of President Snow. In the books, I was just like, oh, I hate Snow. He's such an antagonist and all this stuff, go Katniss Everdeen and all that. But, so when I heard oh, it's a book about before he becomes president, I'm like, I'll give it a try and stuff, so. But yeah, so we see a young Snow struggle with the death of his parents, the future of him becoming president, going to school, and trying to be at the top of his class and game. I did like his portrayal of someone who tried to keep a refined taste in appearance and in conversation. Despite all that he was suffering financially and everything like that, he was just I'm gonna make sure that I look nice and I sound nice and everything. So I thought that was pretty well written. Let's see. So after his stunt in the games, I'm not going to go over it, but something happened. He was then taken to District 12 and trained to become a peacekeeper. So those are the soldiers that stay within the districts to make sure that there's peace, obviously, and that there's no troubles going on. there's no potential like rebellion about to appear again. And then enters Katniss Everdeen. But so he becomes a peacekeeper, which was interesting to see. And I feel like the lessons that he learned in District 12, like everything that he was like trying to go through, like, you know, my more capital base, district base, you can kind of see that that kind of added to his character a bit, and that made him identify with being more capital than district. So when reading the first 3 books, and even going back and rereading like the original trilogy, the food is always described like so good. Like, I'm sure there's a cookbook out there somewhere, and I've always wanted to make like the Hunger Games capital food type of thing, like pita's bread and the lamb stew and everything. So describing like the food, the hunger, like hunger pains and stuff, it seemed much more defined and elaborate. But they did just get out of a war, and food seemed to be more precious. So it's like each morsel had to mean something. So like every single bite wasn't like, oh, like this is great. Like it was like every single bite was like, oh, like this could be my last or last time that I eat this. Like, who knows? So it was very, very interesting to read all that. Let's see, the zoo enclosure scene where the tributes were kept seemed much more interesting and twisted rather than the fine penthouse that Katniss and Peeta had stayed in. I realize this probably took some time and some help with Snow, as we see in the epilogue that as the capital managed to become finer and polished, they were able to take better care of the tributes before they went into the games once they had more wealth. So once the capital started gaining more wealth, then the tributes were able to stay in finer places rather than a dirty zoo enclosure with rabid rats. So, yay. I'd take the penthouse any day. So the 10th Hunger Games was interesting to read from the outside looking in. So most of the time in the trilogy, at least the first 2 books, you know, you're in the inside of the arena, you're with the tributes. But this time, you get like a little bit of what happened inside, but it's mostly like Snow looking in, like watching like his tribute, other tributes fight and all that. So, all the planning and plotting Snow had to do to keep like eyes off of him in case he messed up and would no longer be able to govern Panem, and keep his tribute alive so he could get the scholarship. So there's a lot riding on him. I think it's amazing. Like he would like, it would just be like, oh, like he would just like fall asleep and stuff, or he'd have trouble falling asleep. It's like, oh gosh, he had literally everything on his shoulders. There was one scene that did freak me out that I'm not looking forward to in the movie, and that's the snake scene with all the colorful snakes. Yeah, I don't like snakes. Actually, that's like my main OC. She also doesn't like snakes and everything, so I'm not a big fan. I'm not looking forward to that. And there was actually another character who actually like got bit by a snake and like was starting to become like part snake and like the snake skin and stuff. And I was like, oh no. No, I cannot imagine doing all that. So that did freak me out, and I'm a little bit worried about that scene. Just like, anything else is fine, but like anything snake related, I'm like, nope. Even though it has like snakes in the book, I'm like, yeah, it's probably not that bad. You've been warned. Yeah, but it was still good. It was still good to read. Like very vivid. Like you're able to like see it, feel it. So it was very well written. We also find out that Snow is not a fan of birds. The Jabberjays and the Mockingjays, we kind of get a little bit more, which was interesting. So Jabberjays are able to repeat conversations and phrases. So anything that I'm saying right now, the Jabberjay would be able to repeat that. And then Mockingjays can only mimic melodies and not words. So if I was to like sing a little tune, like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, the Mockingjay would be able to replicate that. So did have to do a little bit of research on that because I always get confused. But, you know, throughout the series, we see like the trilogy, you know, Snow's not a fan of the Mockingjay, the portrayal of the Mockingjay, anything like that, because I think it reminds him of Lucy and what happened. Because Lucy enjoyed birds, she enjoyed singing with birds, especially the Mockingjays. But then something happened. Now he's not a fan of birds, and then Katniss Everdeen comes in with her Mockingjay pin, the dress, like the symbol of the rebellion, and all this. So he's not a fan of birds. So Lucy's character development was short-lived. It kind of ended, and it was like, not appreciative of that cliffhanger. You know, like being left to my imagination and my thoughts. But I do think she had a lot of similarities to Katniss. Like, you know, they both love to sing. They're both a survivor of the Hunger Games. But she seems a bit like flashier than Katniss. Like Katniss was just like not people oriented, like don't touch me, don't look at me, that kind of thing. Where Lucy's just like, hey, I'm gonna go up and talk to you. I'm gonna dress up all flashy and stuff like that. So, there's another character, I don't know how to say his name, but it's like Sejanus? I feel like he was a bit more whiny. This is just my opinion. Like, I feel like he was just a bit whiny in the books. He could have done more to help the people along with Snow rather than trying to fight from the inside. Like, he was just like, I don't know who I am, I'm supposed to be, and it's just like this struggle. And not only that, but as he's getting in trouble, he's getting Snow in trouble, and Snow has all these eyes on him essentially, and it's just like, could you not do that? So I'm not crazy about his character. Lucy, I'm kind of in. Snow slowly grew on me. Tigress is probably my absolute favorite. I absolutely love her. She's just like, I'm gonna take care of everybody, even if I'm working to the bone and stuff. I'm gonna make sure everybody's taken care of, either fashionably or with food and stuff. So Tigress is probably my favorite character in this whole book. We only get her for a little bit in Mockingjay, and I was kind of like, she's okay, but now I'm like, I'm a Tigress stan now. Tigress stans unite. Let's see. So some critiques, little tidbits of things that I was just like, about. One would be tell, then show. So there was moments where characters were talking about a subject, but there was no dialogue to follow, just a summary. Something was discussed, and then the conversation ended. So instead of like, person A, person B, person A, person B, with like dialogue, it was just like, oh, we talked about our day, and then it would like move on to the next scene. It's like, well, what y'all talk about? Like, I think I'm just nosy in that and stuff. I think it helps with character development, even if it's talking about the day, because then somebody could get interrupted. Somebody might be, like, do I really tell them, like, I went to this place, or do I hold it back? Like, I think that really helps with all that. But it did feel like those parts were sped up. Of course, adding long dialogue could have added more pages to the books. As you can tell, this is a very chunky book, but it's the only one. It's not like split into 3 parts. I mean, it's split into 3 parts in the book, but it's not like a trilogy, if that makes sense. So overall, I felt like I was glancing over parts rather than seeing character development through conversation, even if it was deemed like every day. So like Snow and Tigress, or Snow talking with others on his daily commute. Would have been interesting to see how he like carried himself with like other citizens and classmates and all that. Towards the end, I was getting a little bit bored, so switching gears. So like towards the end, like that 3rd part, I was getting a little bit bored with it, as it seemed like the same old. Like Snow would either be at the Hop, he'd be with the Peacekeeper quarters, or with Lucy. So it's just, I was starting to like lose interest, but I was like, no, like finish the book, we gotta see what happens, like how does he get back to the capital and all that. So when I did that, then it was like the last few chapters kind of sped up. It was almost like when I did like the Ruby books and everything. It was like all of a sudden, like towards the end, like, you blink, you miss it type of thing. Like all of a sudden, that's where all the action is. After one specific event, I'm not going to get into, propels the whole story forward, but then it ends with him going back to the capital. I think it ended a bit abruptly. This is just my opinion, but I think it ended a little bit abruptly and had to be done, as we see later on, as he lives in the capital as president. So we don't really get like how he really became president and all that. It's kind of just like everything leading up, but then it just like ends. It's not like he had like a ceremony or something, which I thought we were gonna get. I thought we were gonna get like a ceremony and then he makes his first speech as president or something. Like that would be something really interesting to see. But instead it's just like, you're a mentor in the games, you broke a rule, you're a peacekeeper, and now you're back. So it's like, sure, you learn little lessons here and there. There was a lot that happened and all that, but it's just like, we're not really going to see him become president? I don't know. It was kind of one of those things. There was just a little bit of critiques, like, show, don't tell. I get told that all the time. One writing server all the time, so I'm like trying to be diligent with that, and like seeing that, I was just like, oh no. But it does add quite a bit more to the pages, so. And then just like everything being sped up at the end, and then it just ends, and you're just like sitting there like, so what really happened? Like, what's going on? So, I think that'd be interesting. Maybe we'll get something in the movie. I never even thought of that. Like, maybe we'll get something at the end of the movie. Like, maybe maybe he does make a speech as first president, or not first president, but like as president, like the new president and stuff. Like, then I'd be okay. Then I'd be like, alright, you know what? It's fine. He's cool. He's fine. Overall, I loved getting back into the Hunger Games franchise. People that I know, like 9-10 years ago, I was like into the Hunger Games. I was posting Hunger Games. I helped run like a Hunger Games fan page and stuff. Like, I was all about Hunger Games. So it was fun getting to read that style again. It was interesting to read about new characters, both in the capital and in the districts. Like both, it's not just like one this time. It was like, oh, I only care about the districts and maybe Effie and Tigress, but now it's like, you know, both have really good characters and storylines and all that. So it was well balanced too, which I feel like is hard to do with like two different very unique places, and especially like after a war and stuff, and not focus on like it was like 64 years, however many years and stuff. So it was well balanced, and then we get to find out more about the history of the war in Panem. It still brings me to chills to think of what we learned Snow went through and learned before he became president. There was just a lot that he had to go through. He literally had to fight for his life during the war, surviving on scraps and the death of his parents, to be a mentor and all the challenges he faced inside and outside the classroom, to become president. And then not only that, but like my guess, I don't know, my it's not really a headcanon, but it's just kind of like a, after reading this and then knowing what I know in the Hunger Games trilogy, like, you know, there's like a brief mention about secrets, and as you all know, like Finnick Odair talked like, you know, Snow really liked secrets and like learning secrets, and then, you know, drinking poison to deter his enemies from suspicion before he killed them. So, you know, he's like keeping all these secrets. He's learning about other people's secrets, and then the poison. I don't know if like snakes had anything to do with that, but there's definitely a lot of little connections there. That's just like, oh, it's like nice to just sit and stew and theorize and all that. So brought back a lot of good memories back in the day. Alrighty, so we're gonna go and start wrapping up. Hello, Oliver. Welcome. Welcome to the book hour. Hi, baby. Yes, hello. My cat's here. Meander's here. Alright, so things that I'm looking forward to with the upcoming movie. I'm looking forward to some of the new songs, as well as a couple familiar songs. I'm not going to say who or what, but you might hear some familiar ones. I did not realize that some of the songs were passed down from Lucy, or like Lucy inspired. I don't know like what the term would be. I know like one was like she originally composed and then it shows up later. I'm not saying which one, even though it might be obvious, or maybe not, who knows. But yeah, I am excited to hear her actress sing the songs that I loved back then. So I listened to like like she has a YouTube channel. I can't remember her name. Oh no. I should know it because the posters just came out the other day. But yeah, I did listen to her sing on like her YouTube channel, and she has a very beautiful voice and everything. So I am excited to hear her sing some of these familiar songs, some of the new songs. Like I'm very, very excited about that. I have to warn hubby though, because sometimes he's like, is this going to be a musical movie? And it's like, this one might be slightly more so. But I think it'll be good. I am definitely excited and ready for the movie to come out. Super duper stoked. I feel like I still have like the same energy from 10 years ago. Like I said before, I was like a huge Hunger Games nerd. Like I had posters, books. I think I still have the pins somewhere. I'm hoping to find this one as a pin, maybe. Just see it and scouting around. Maybe Hot Topic might be, oh, not sponsored. Not sponsored by Hot Topic. Anything like that. So maybe I'll try to find the pin again. Or a new pin. So yes, so I will be seeing the movie in theaters. I'm looking forward to the new cast and crew. I am super duper stoked about this. So I didn't want to give too many details away because it's just so good. It was a very good read. Like I said before, there's a lot of like, not action packed, but just like trying to figure out like how to navigate the capital life, and then figuring out how he's gonna become president and everything. And then it's like, you know, it transitions. It's like that transition. It gets a little bit boring, but then towards the end it's like, oh no. And then you're left in the dark and it's like, I don't like this feeling. Can we have some answers, please? So maybe in the movie it might be different. I don't know. I feel like the first Hunger Games book, they kind of went off the movie a little bit. And then the second and the third one, the 2 parts, they stuck pretty close to the book and everything. So those are the ones I enjoy. I enjoyed Catching Fire a lot, book and movie. So I'm really, really excited to see this one. So do let me know your thoughts down below. Have you read the book? Are you going to see the movie? Let me know. Are you into the Hunger Games? I definitely am. Did the Ruby Hunger Games simulator video, which did okay. I might do a second one here. Either with, like, some of my favorite characters. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, what if I did, like, my favorite characters in the Hunger Games simulator? But I think it might be the Ruby villains, which, if Tyrion wins that, I'm not surprised, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, yes, do be sure to leave a kind comment down below. I'd appreciate it. Leave a like. Make sure you subscribe. I post random, funny content. Mostly Ruby related, but sometimes I like to switch gears. So we got Hunger Games. I'm sure we got more crazy stuff. Red Wall. Red Wall is always a mess. What you doing, baby? Are you Tigress? He's a big gray football. Oh. We're gonna wrap up, okay? And then you're off the clock. The cat's just like stalking around. Oh, you left. Alright, so I guess that's time for me to take my leave. Again, thank you so much for watching, and remember, snow lands on top. Bye, everyone!